The Founding Fathers, they weren't just dudes with powdered wigs and a thing for signing documents. They were visionaries, architects of a new world order. They knew tyranny. They'd smelled it, tasted it, escaped it. They built this country to avoid it. They understood the weight of their actions, the gravity of their signatures. They knew that every stroke of the pen was a step away from oppression and a stride towards liberty. They'd experienced the heavy hand of tyranny firsthand, and they warned us in no uncertain terms that it could happen here. Think about that. These weren't dummies. They'd stared down the barrel of an empire, risked their necks for freedom. They fought battles, not just with muskets and cannons, but with ideas and principles. They knew power corrupts. They knew governments could become monsters, and they knew it could happen again. They saw the potential for the very system they created to be twisted and turned against the people it was meant to protect. They left us a blueprint, a damn good one, in the Constitution. But blueprints need builders who give a damn. They need people who are vigilant, who understand that freedom isn't free. It requires constant effort, constant vigilance. They need citizens who see a crack in the foundation and don't just tweet about it, but actually grab a trowel and get to work. It's about more than just words. It's about action. It's about rolling up your sleeves and getting involved. Because here's the thing, folks. Tyranny, it's not always jackboots and dictators. Sometimes it's a slow creep. A new regulation here, a quiet power grab there. It's the erosion of rights, the slow chipping away of freedoms. And before you know it, the America you thought you knew, it's gone. It's up to us to heed the warnings of history, to recognize the signs, and to act before it's too late. The Founding Fathers gave us the tools. It's up to us to use them. Look around, people. We've got politicians more concerned with their next fundraiser, more interested in shaking hands with wealthy donors and securing their next big check than the people they're elected to represent. The very voters who put them in office are left frustrated, neglected, and ignored. Lobbyists writing laws, corporations calling the shots. The whole damn system stinks of self-interest. It's a game where the rules are written by those with the deepest pockets. We've got surveillance programs spying on citizens, agencies operating in the shadows. These programs are justified under the guise of national security, but at what cost? Our privacy? Treated like an optional extra, not a fundamental right. Every click, every call, every message is potentially monitored. They tell us it's for our safety, to fight terrorism. They hold press conferences, make grand speeches about protecting us. But every time they chip away at our freedoms, they chip away at the very thing they claim to protect. The balance between security and freedom is tipping dangerously. And the corruption? Don't get me started. Scandals erupt, debates get heated, but nothing ever seems to change. Sweetheart deals, backroom bargains, politicians getting rich while the people they represent struggle to make ends meet. The gap between the haves and the have-nots widens every day. Broke bartenders get elected and are now worth tens of millions. Is it enough to make you rebel? The anger, the frustration, the sense of betrayal, it's all boiling over. We demand better. Remember what one of those Whig dudes, a fella named John Locke, said? Life, liberty, and property. These weren't just some lofty ideals or abstract concepts for him. They were the very foundation of a free and just society, the bedrock upon which individuals could build their lives. Those weren't just fancy words for him. They were the whole damn point. Locke believed that without the right to property, the other rights would be meaningless. Property was a tangible expression of one's labor and effort. But these days, property rights are under attack. It's not just a theoretical debate. It's a real and pressing issue that affects countless individuals and families. Eminent domain, where the government can just take your home, your business, for their own purposes. It's a power that was supposed to be used sparingly, for the public good, but now it seems to be wielded with increasing frequency and less justification. It's happening more and more. Families are being uprooted, businesses shuttered, and communities disrupted, all in the name of progress or development. And don't even get me started on the regulations, the red tape, the endless forms, the ever-changing rules. It's a bureaucratic nightmare that stifles innovation and crushes the entrepreneurial spirit. The government telling you what you can and can't do with your own land, your own business. It's an overreach that is invasive and oppressive, stripping away the autonomy that property ownership should provide. It's enough to make a small business owner chuck their entire inventory into the nearest river. The frustration and helplessness can be overwhelming, leading to desperate actions, and who could blame them? When faced with insurmountable obstacles and a lack of support, it's easy to feel defeated and hopeless. When the government can seize your property, dictate how you use it, what's left. The sense of security and ownership is eroded, leaving individuals feeling vulnerable and powerless. It's not freedom, that's for damn sure. True freedom means having control over your own life and property without undue interference. It's time to reclaim that right and stand up for what John Locke believed in. Look, I'm not saying we storm the Capitol dressed like extras from Hamilton. We're not throwing tea in the harbor, though let's be honest, some days it's tempting. Do you think peaceful resistance will work? When the government makes peaceful protest illegal, then violent protest become inevitable. It's what those powdered wig guys did. We need to hold our elected officials accountable. Vote out the corrupt politicians, the crooks, the liars, the ones who've forgotten who they work for. We need to support organizations fighting for our rights, donate our time, raise our voices, because silence is what they want. When good men stay silent, evil prevails. Section 5, the words of giants. Don't just take my word for it. Thomas Jefferson, the man who penned the Declaration of Independence, he said, "When government fears the people, there is liberty. When the people fear the government, there is tyranny." Let that sink in. And John Adams, another one of our founding fathers, he warned us about an aristocracy of corporations that could destroy the liberties of the people. Sound familiar? These weren't just some dudes with quills and parchment. They were visionaries, revolutionaries who understood the fragility of freedom. And they're spinning in their graves right now, folks. The current government is the type of government they fought against. Section 6. A government of wolves. We've got a government that's supposed to be by the people, for the people. But somewhere along the line, it's become a government of wolves, more interested in lining their own pockets than serving the people. They talk a big game about freedom, about liberty, about justice. But when it comes down to it, they're more than happy to erode our rights, to spy on us, to make us defenseless, to control us. They forget that they work for us. We the people, remember, we're the ones with the power, the ultimate power. Section 7. The price of freedom. Freedom isn't free. It never has been, never will be. It requires vigilance, constant vigilance. It requires us to stand up, speak out, resist. It's not always easy. It's not always convenient. It can be messy. It can be frustrating. But the alternative is unthinkable. Because once freedom is gone, once those rights are stripped away, they're not easily regained. It takes generations to rebuild what can be lost in an instant. Section 8. Now what? So what do? We fight back. Thomas Jefferson stated, "The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants. We vote like our freedoms depend on it, because they do. We hold our elected officials accountable. We support organizations fighting for our rights. We educate ourselves and others. We refuse to be silenced. We refuse to be complacent." The founding fathers, they gave us a hell of a starting point. Now it's up to us to make sure their vision, their sacrifice, wasn't in vain. The future of this country, the future of freedom itself, depends on it. Keep your head down and your powder dry.